opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes stand approved. Do we have anybody down for public comments? We do not. Okay. Open positions. Ms. Duke.
We currently have one full-time male detention officer position and one full-time female detention officer position and one full-time corporal position. Two of these are, well, we just had a round of promotions, and we also changed one of our administrative positions to a detention officer position to try to help with some staffing issues. So one is due to promotion and one is an extra position. And then for our leaves, we just have one person out on FMLA.
Excellent. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Duke on the open positions? Seeing none, without objection, we'll accept the report. The data report, please, ma'am.
So on the table in front of you, you have our total population as of this morning. We currently have 23 young people in the facility. 19 of those are from Rutherford County and one each from Gibson, Houston, Sumner, and Wheatley. I will try to answer any other questions you might have if I'm able.
Any questions for Ms. Duke regarding the data report?
Sadly, the number is the highest I can ever remember.
I was going to make a similar comment. From the time that I've been on this board, I think that's the highest total population that we've had, and certainly the highest for Rutherford County. I don't think there's any, I'm not suggesting there's any correlation between events that are happening, except for the criminal activity or the actions of the detainees.
Following up with that, Ms. Duke, do you have an idea of why? Would you believe this was a spike, or do you think is there something else going on?
No, I don't know that there's anything special going on. I just think that school's back in session, and there's we talked about it a little bit last month. There's more eyes on young people right now, so they just have probably a little more opportunity to be have negative actions addressed.
Understood. Any questions for Ms. Duke regarding the data report? Seeing none and without objection, we'll accept. Thank you. Educational services report.
In front of you, you have the education report for September. Slightly different than you're used to seeing. Mr. Garland has added a few additional things that he wanted denoted. I'm sorry?
I think I'm missing that too.
Okay, it's not printed out.
Oh, did it not load?
No, well, it's not. It may be loaded, but it's just we didn't get a print out of it. That's okay.
So he is just documenting that we currently have a detainee who is an English as a second language student, and so we have some Board of Education people coming to help him with that. Additionally, our special education gentleman is coming and visiting with us on the regular. And then we've added, I think I've been just sharing the programming at Public Safety, and I don't know why, but I wanted to go ahead and include life skills, the counseling, and our chaplain, as well as a few other topics that are on the programming as far as active parenting, for y'all to be able to look at as well. So if you have any questions about that, I'll happily answer them.
And it is on the machine.
SharePoint?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Judge. I will give everybody a chance to review if they so desire. going crazy over there.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that this one?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I don't know how to
There
use
we
it.
go.
I mean, I don't even bother to touch this thing. I mean, if I don't have a hard copy. So,
My 8-year-old told me.
I would need somebody to teach me. I'm just telling you. I'm very old school.
You have surpassed my father as well. He can't even text.
It's like these fat fingers don't work. Or do we have any, does everybody have an opportunity to review it? Do we have any questions or comments for Ms. Duke on the education report? And seeing none, without objection, we'll accept. Thank you, Lynn. And then finally, at the last budget meeting, we had a request from Dr. McDonald to go over the budget, our budget for 24-25 that was passed back in June. And so you have in front of you a hard copy of that as well as on SharePoint. Yes, Dr. McDonald?
Mayor, I'd like to ask or maybe make a motion that this item be tabled to the November 2024 meeting.
Absolutely. That is
okay,
a proper motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Yeah, we have a proper motion and a second, and just for further discussion before we vote, the purpose is so that members of the board can review it and then
Yes.
come back with the pertinent questions. Would that be
Yes.
the reason? That's perfect.
Yes.
Any further discussion on the motion and the second? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. We will move this to the November agenda. Sandra, will you make sure that gets on the agenda? And because that may be a lengthy discussion, without objection, if you'll put that at the end of the agenda, that might be appropriate, unless there is objection.
No objection. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McDonald. Under other business, we have discussed facility capacity. Yes, ma'am.
That's me.
Yeah, I see that.
So when we opened the new facility, it originally had, the building at 1710 South Church Street. The initial capacity was 64. In the last couple of weeks, it has officially dropped to 60. The reason for that is there's an area in one of our dorms. So these are beds that we don't generally use regularly, because you'll recall that our dorm space is used more for programming. So we removed 4 of those single metal bunks to make room for a driving simulator that we had donated to us from another facility that closed. And so it's sort of a virtual driving school.
Is it automotive car simulator?
Yes.
Oh.
So, we haven't gotten it yet, but the space is ready for it when it comes in. And just a brief conversation that I had with our Title I specialist is that there will be some, and I can give more information as this goes along. There will be opportunity if all the planets align for those that want to pre-test to get their, with a parental agreement, their permit. Not that they're going anywhere while they're with us, but they can at least be heading in that direction. So
This is an outstanding idea. Where did the simulator come from?
I believe that there was what was the name of it? It was a sexual offenders inpatient facility here in Rutherford County that I don't know if they just closed the program completely or they moved to a new space. But regardless, that particular facility and some of the items they had in there were able to be donated to other facilities that participate in the Title I funding, and they asked if we wanted it, and we were able to make room for it, not really affect facility operations, and So we said, yes, please.
So as a result, as it relates to the agenda item, the facility capacity went from 64 to 60 to make room for this simulator. Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
Excellent. Any questions for Ms. Duke in that regard?
No, but I did re-gift those bunks this morning to someone who needed them. It's the sheriff's office.
Boy, nothing sticks around, that stays
It
around long.
doesn't stay around long.
My goodness, okay.
Great.
Judge, you're recognized.
This came up last meeting. I think that we had some discussion about whether we really do have 60 beds available, and the director has explained that this is somewhat limited by the male-female situation
That
and
ratio.
staffing.
That's right. Mhm.
And therefore, it really, in reality, it's not really 60, depending on the time of the year and the dates and who we have employed. So I don't want to leave any impression.
That's correct. The 60, to clarify, is the number of bunks that we have. That is not truly our true capacity, correct?
Well, it is capacity, but it's not always,
But it's
some of
driven by
those,
classification.
correct.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Judge,
Yeah.
for that clarification. Any further questions or comments about capacity?
For my general identification, what is, in the current configuration of staff, what can we handle?
What is the real number for capacity?
Well, you've got to take into consideration sick days, which you never know, vacation,
Sounds like there's a range. Would that be right?
FMLA. There are the 48 single-man cells that we have in the 3 pods are the bed spaces that we consistently use. Now, we have, each of those pods have 16 beds in them. So right now, we have a pod that is housing young ladies. Now, we only have a couple of young ladies, and
But
so,
that takes up 16, doesn't it?
but we can't put young men in there with those young ladies. So, as an example, we have plenty, let's call it, of female beds. The male beds are harder to come by because that's where our classification and the amount of space that we have to work with comes into play. The state minimum staffing requiremements are you can have 1 staff member on a housing unit or a pod for from 1 to 8 young people. Then if you add a 9th young person to that area, then it rolls to 2 staff members. So we have 2 pods that are generally for for young men, but depending upon how many and what their classification may be, we may be able to have 1 staff member posted there, or we may have to bump it up to 2. When we also, the ratios change a little bit during sleeping hours. So second shift is really where we have to do our very best to get those positions filled. That's why we moved one of our administrative positions to a detention officer, so that we can, and we played around with some of the shift hours. So we have people who try to cover the times that are the busiest that we need that extra coverage. So it depends. If we have...
Good lawyer answer. It depends. That's it.
I got a question. There was a conversation a couple of months ago about Tennessee looking for additional space, and they approached us. Can you tell us the status of that conversation? It was a very preliminary conversation, but can you explain if any movement has been had on that?
So the Tennessee Department of Children's Services was interested in discussing 2 different types of contractual agreements to see if we might be interested in them. One was to contract similarly as the counties do, where it's we need 1 bed for this 1 detainee. And because we have had we have more female beds available than males. We told them that we would consider, after looking into the contracts, which we haven't gotten to that point yet, but we would consider contracting with Tennessee DCS for female offenders. The young people that are in the custody of the Department of Children's Services are generally, they have already gone through all the services on a county level. They have gone through state probation, and they're kind of at the point where they have to begin making those better choices now, or they're going to continue to have issues with the court system. So the young folks that are in state's custody also have an additional set of requirements, rules, and policies that go along with them. So accepting kids who are in state's custody can be burdensome in that the training is a little different, the software is a little different, so we have to double do everything. We
So
would
the fact that they're in our custody doesn't mean necessarily they follow solely under our policies and procedures, but they would also follow under the state's policies and procedures. So there's a redundancy there that we need to be considering.
Right.
Okay.
So I told them that we would continue to look at that. I haven't sent that contract or those manuals to county legal or anybody yet. The other situation that they wanted to discuss was whether or not we would be able to have the ability to just generally, and this may not have been what it would have turned into, but let's just call it lease an entire pod for kids in state's custody to use. So because we're a Rutherford County facility and we're taxpayer funded, we want to have those beds first and foremost available to Rutherford County citizens. But then it became, even if we did that, would our programming space allow for those classification issues? And then there was talk of, well, do they want us to staff that area? Do they want to supply the staff? How that would work. So there was a whole lot of what ifs that we really never got to, because the short version is that we didn't think we had the programming space to be able to accommodate 16 young folks in conjunction with what we're already trying to do. So the two versions, the leasing of an entire pod, we didn't think was going to be conducive to our what we're trying to get done. And then we haven't completely said no to the idea of easing into working with state custody kids with the females, but I just haven't gotten to it yet.
It would appear that males would just not be feasible with the demand that we have just from our local citizens.
Right, and it's been probably a decade since we have contracted with the state or longer for kids in custody, and just their different management issue in themselves, because that's considered, they consider it dead time. They're not in their placement, they're not working their programs yet, they've already been through the court system. What they're doing is waiting, and waiting is very hard when you have you know that you have to work your program to be able to return home, and you're in dead time, and it's frustrating, and it can
lead to a lot of problems.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Sounds like there's nothing for us to do yet, if anything. You'll apprise us when that comes.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Duke. Any other Oh, well, we gotta discuss the November board meeting date. What visit we need to discuss, Sandra?
Okay, so, it will fall on Veterans Day, our next
That's
board
why-
meeting.
That's why
so,
we need to discuss.
yes.
That's a holiday. Does anybody have a suggestion? I can make one if you like.
Go ahead.
It's just. That was good, what I was gonna suggest, move it to the following Monday. If you guys, I don't know what your schedules are, I know this is kind of short notice, but
We'll move it to the 18th.
yes, ma'am.
Is that the week of Thanksgiving?
I hope not, Judge.
No, next week is Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's on the 7th. Yeah.
Okay, so the 18th is what Ms. Maxwell has is the calendar guru for us, so it would be Monday, November 18th.
Then we'd have a meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's a Tuesday.
Was that a Tuesday?
No, the 18th
No, the
is
18th 's
Monday.
Monday.
The
Monday.
calendar, if you're looking at the calendar we
That's
sent.
the 25.
that-
That's
I'm looking at the
25.
wrong one, my bad.
Because I was gonna follow up with another question.
Is okay, is the 18th on a Monday?
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, it is.
Well,
I was looking at 2025. so-
Ms. Maxwell was correct. She said the 18th, and that's what we're gonna do. So, unless there's an objection, is there an objection? Seeing none, I'll record that in the minutes, and we'll change our meeting from, to Monday, the 18th. What was your question, Ms. Sue?
Well, I didn't know if we wanted to wait to discuss 2025, you know, in November or December, or I printed it off, well, we printed it off and gave everybody a copy. It doesn't appear as though there's any observed county holidays that will fall on the second Monday of each month in 2025. And so, I don't know if we just want to keep trucking or make any changes.
I do not understand what you're asking. What's the
I mean, like
question?
Mondays?
So you're
Like,
talking about,
currently, we're meeting on the second Monday of every month. And
Okay.
for 2025, there are no.
oh, it's not filled, as you're telling me, it's not filled in. Oh, okay, so, yeah, thank you. I just assumed that it was through the fiscal year of June 2025. You're saying we haven't propagated the calendar for the calendar year 2025 then, right?
That's correct.
Okay, my bad. Well, I'll tell you what, if we want to change it, let's, for 2025, for the 6 months of 2025, we can discuss that at the November meeting. Sandra, can we put that on the item? That way it gives everybody a chance to look at their calendar. I'm not going to ask everybody to do it right this minute.
Okay.
But we do it in November. You all right with that, Lynn?
Yes.
So I'll also put that on the agenda. Thank you. Any other business?
I would like to announce that there is currently one board opening for 1 year. It is Chris Johnson's,
Oh, yeah.
and.
He had stepped down.
Well, no, his term ended.
Oh, okay.
And.
That's what it is, okay.
And those applications can be picked up in the mayor's office.
And he's not seeking reappointment.
I reached out to him and let him know that it had expired and what he could do if he was interested. I have not heard back.
When
I
did the
think
term
his plate's
expire,
fixing
if I
to
might
be
ask?
fuller.
Yeah.
I think, this is August, I believe.
Okay.
Because we've missed it for a month, and then,
That's what I was thinking, it was August. It was
Ms.
the
Maxwell?
beginning of the term is September,
Beginning of the term is, yes, that is correct.
and ends in August.
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I said.
And steering did,
they announced
they
it.
announced it.
Yes.
You were saying his plate was fuller?
I think his plate's fixing to get more full
Okay.
at Laverne. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is taking over, he's the track coach, he's a teacher.
Oh, that
And
makes
there
sense.
may be some more opportunities that he's been approached with as well. I'm not at liberty to say right now, but yeah.
Lynn, could you get an answer from him on that?
Yes.
If that would be appropriate, and then we could, because we do need to, if he's not interested or unavailable, we do need to fill the spot. And I would invite the board to invite applicants. That'd be great.
I'm definitely gonna, I know a few people that would be excellent on here.
Good, outstanding.
From the
Any-
school board?
Don't ask. It's only been a month.
Yeah. Do you want to appoint some school board members, Claire?
No, please.
Maybe some county commissioners?
Yeah.
Boy, this is all being recorded, Judge.
I'm thinking,
Maybe
outside
some
the realms
judges.
of the school board and the county commission.
Took a nosedive real quick.
Oh, yeah, and if there are no objections, we stand adjourned.